What's amazing, though, the places we've been in several of the countries in Tanzania, Uganda, Zimbabwe, and then even if I go to Asia, Singapore, the countries, Manila, there's this huge growth of Catholicism, huge, and especially, particularly in Africa, to the point where hundreds, no one can count, hundreds of children come in to church, start sitting on the bench, and as the elders come in, they get off the bench and sit on the floor. It's just amazing the liturgies that can happen in a place like that. It's just
I've
full
heard
of
this.
people.
So why is this? Do you have a sense of why certain countries are growing rapidly right now while others in the West are not?
I think it's the Catholic spirit. There's certain Catholic spirituality that people can understand, they can relate to. Um, we were in, and I'm sorry because I remember it was a number of countries. I think this was Uganda, where for Good Friday, and they did a procession, the Good Friday procession, which probably was about 8 hours long, and hundreds of people
Wow.
as the
Tito, you
procession
doing that?
moved.
Ooh. I mean, I'll be part of the team.
Well, I'll be honest. I had to stay out because I would have been sunburnt and dying, but I did see the last part of it. Um, in the same place in Zimbabwe, there was it was Easter, and there were supposed to be like 75 First Communions and 58 confirmations, and I don't think anyone really knew how many there were. It just kept coming
Yeah.
forward and coming forward. Um, yeah, I think there's something with the Catholic spirituality, the Catholic Church, that the faith is growing uh, greatly. Yeah.
I mean, I've always wondered about that too, and I think part of it is that our faith, especially the Catholic theology on the perspective of hardship, is one that gives it not just meaning but purpose, right? We are able to take hardship and add it to the redemptive process. It makes us, in a certain sense, better, and it gives that meaning. In a society where we try to avoid hardship as much as possible, it's harder for people to remember the deeper meaning of that.
Right. I agree. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm wondering, in all this, talking about the hardship, do you encounter Christians that are truly persecuted? Yeah, not in like the American sense, like we're not the first in line, but people who are actually killed for their faith or have to live in silence or fear.
Yeah, yes, unfortunately, I have not been to those places or experienced that, but I do hear back from the friars, and quite disturbing. Some of the things that I've seen, where like one, they sent me a video, and a school teacher was beheaded live on camera. She was Catholic. Um, yeah, Miramar, where people are trying to practice their faith, and there's great discrimination. Even India, there's great discrimination in India against non-Hindus. So they're trying to pass laws to make it harder for Christians to thrive, Catholics to thrive, and of course Muslims. So yeah, we do see that, and of course, working with places around the world, I don't want to say too many of the exact locations, but something like Syria, where the friars are doing tremendous work. But they ask us not to tell the location of their churches,
Wow.
which is
It's
understandable.
incredible following these things where
Yep.
these tragedies happen, or there's persecution, or some earthquake, and the friars are there because they're already on the ground. I
Right.
remember reading a
Yeah.
story a number of years ago of friar being kidnapped, and he was missing for a couple days, and then he came back, and just the heroism of these guys, and also the lay people, the men and women that don't have a choice to stay here, and just the love they show for their faith that they're not willing to give it up.
No, yeah. I know these friars, and I don't know if I should say the country, but they're out in a remote area. They have four proper parishes and then 12 uh, compounds, compound parishes out further, and they have to drive to them. And he took a video. They were driving this Jeep that I suspect the American friars bought in the 1960s.
Okay.
Because I know American friars were there.
Hmm.
There were holes in the floor, and they're going through this terrible terrain. And he was saying, he was a deacon at the time. He showed me the parish priest and then the altar server. And behind him was the guard with a gun.
Gosh.
And it isn't so much to hurt someone as it is much to say, hey, we have this and keep people away. I know sometimes I'm inconvenienced because I have to get up at a certain time because the friary mass has been changed by 15 minutes and it's a different world.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a
Someone's
different
rude to
world.
you. They say some bad word.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, my life's terrible.
I've been oppressed. Right.
Right.
Oh,
Exactly. Yeah.
No, I remember. I remember there being there was a general chapter in Assisi that I just happened to be in Assisi at the same time, and I was chatting with one of the friars, and I said, "So you're free today?" And he goes, "Oh, no." He goes, "But right now they're discussing friars in countries that we can't make public. So anyone who's not essential
Right.
has to leave the room." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And that really kind of drives it home of like we have friars and brothers in places where it's on a need to know basis, and
Right.
and it's not because we're trying to hide or mislead people, but because it's for their own safety and protection and the people that
Correct.
they serve.
Yeah. There's a couple places like that, and we won't even get information on it, and I have to respect that.
Yeah, they're like CIA agents. I mean, they're sleeper cells. They're there for not violence, but for
Right.
love and for peace. And
Yep.
Right.
it's amazing to
Yeah.
hear some of these stories that we hear after the fact that they're really putting their life in danger in a way that we in the Western world don't think about much anymore. But this is like the early church again. I mean, they're
Right.
undercover, they're underground, and the church exists because of them. It's just so amazing.